So one of my favorite things about game design, and not just for card games, but just games in general, is when you can try to find that harmony between flavor and function, right? Like the idea of getting a game mechanic to match, um, an idea or to mimic an event. To kind of give you an example, right? Like one of my favorite board games of all time is the original Milton Bradley Axis and Allies, because that game did a wonderful job of making you feel like you played through World War II, right? Japan's first turn, like you're bombing Pearl Harbor. If you're the Russian player, all you do is build infantry and try to stop Germany. If you're playing the Great Britain player, you just bomb Germany over and over, right? Like they did a good job of taking the themes and the historical elements of World War II and making them be translated into gameplay. And there are a lot of games that do that, and so those are the kinds of things that I kind of enjoy. And I've been thinking about ways to make the flavor of certain experiences in Elder Scrolls translate to cards. Um, right now, thematically and flavor-wise, one of my favorite cards is Adoring Fan. It's that idea of, he's annoying, he follows you around, you can't get rid of him. I just think thematically he fits the Adoring Fan, right? So I wanted to take a crack at doing something similar, which was create some cards that hopefully like fit flavor or themes of Elder Scrolls games or experiences. So first up is Lydia. That's right, I made a Lydia card. So I made Lydia a 4-cost unique legendary Nord because she's a Nord. I made her a 2/5 guard with regenerate, and she also says creatures can't move between lanes. Now, I did this because thematically, right? Lydia tries to protect you, right? Guard. She's very hard to kill. Not that your companions couldn't die, but very resilient, so hence the regenerate. And the thing that I remember most about Lydia, at least when I played Skyrim, was that she liked to stand in the doorway so that I couldn't get out of a place, right? She was constantly in the way, preventing me from going where I wanted to go. So how did I try to make that fit in terms of the game? I made it so that while she's in play, creatures can't move between lanes. So that's where that comes from. That's kind of what sparked that idea, and I chose to make her a red card, right? So since she's a Nord, you could have argued for like willpower or strength, but since strength, as I've said in a previous video, tends to be the attribute that also features denial, right? Or basically saying like you can't do this, right? Mage Slayer can't be damaged by actions, and Withered Hand Cultist makes it so that your opponent struggles to play actions, right? Like it's a denial color. I thought that she fit best in strength, and that her creatures can't move between lanes would be very symbolic of her standing in the doorway. So that's my first crack at flavor. So the second one is lockpicking, right? Lockpicking exists in every Elder Scrolls game in one way or another, for the most part, and so I wanted it to exist in Legends. And so lockpicking is a 2-cost action, and it had to, again, probably either be in willpower or agility because its effect says trigger the pilfer of a friendly creature. Ultimately, I opted to put it in agility because I felt like it just made the best sense there. But yeah, this isn't the first time that we've seen cards, even in agility, let alone just in general, like trigger some of your effects. The other card, at least the one that exists right now, is the Mastermind, who triggers your last gasp effects. So this is just an action, right? It's lockpicking. It's you helping to unlock something or maybe get into a place to steal something, hence pilfer, trigger the pilfer of a friendly creature. I like the card too from a strategy standpoint because pilfer decks right now struggle because they kind of are like an all-in thing, right? You have to just keep hitting face to really get the benefit of your pilfers. So this at least gives you an alternative to the straight face mechanic, which is something that Pilfer decks are kind of missing right now. So lock picking, that's crack number 2. The last one is also Khajiit related and also Pilfer related, and that is Maik. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I always forget how it, but Maik the Liar, right? He is again somebody who's present very frequently in the Elder Scrolls series. He's kind of a running gag, and I made Maik a 2-cost 2/2 Pilfer. Reveal a card in your deck, and then draw a card. Now, why did I do this? Well, his kind of gimmick is that whenever you meet him and you talk to him, while he is the liar, he also says some stuff based in truth, right? Like whenever he speaks, it's some of the stuff is partially true, but not fully true. And so I liked the idea of him, every time that he triggers your draw card, he also reveals a card in your deck. So the flavor mix here is that he's showing your opponent a card, and you may or may not have drawn that card. Yes, it's true this card is in your deck. It is not 100% true whether or not he drew said card. So that was kind of the train of thought I had. Because he is a unique legendary, I made him cost 2, because he had to, in my opinion, at least be slightly better than the existing Pilfer draw card. But yeah, I was trying to think of a way that you could, do something in the game that was partially true. One of my original ideas was that he would come into play and your opponent would see him with a series of keywords, but then you would see him with what his real keywords were. So maybe you play him and your opponent always sees him have breakthrough, regen, ward, lethal, and then maybe he only has 1 or 2 of those at random, so you never really know. Again, that whole partially true, partially not. But I didn't ultimately decide to go that route because I didn't like the idea of the random effect being something that could swing a game, right? So if he sometimes got ward but sometimes got lethal, and those were significantly better than if he got a different effect. So instead I went with draw a card and reveal a card. So it's, partially true and maybe not so true as well, to kind of fit his theme. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed my first crack at, having flavor meet function in terms of the game. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to hear some of your ideas or examples for things that exist in other Elder Scrolls games and how they could then obviously work in this game. So, leave some comments, and as always, I will see you next time.